Okay guys, and welcome to Rufus and Doofus. Chico here today, and we're going to be installing the Hopkins towed vehicle wiring kit onto Pepper, the Jeep. So let me show you what we've got here. I just opened up the package, and there's the labeling right there so you can see it. Okay, it's a Hopkins, and the model number is 56200, and that's for my 2008 Jeep Wrangler. This is all the wiring right here in a bundle, along with the diodes and connectors. Here's some accessory parts to mount the 4-post connector, and also some wire ties and some screws to do the job. So I don't think it's going to be too difficult. On the back of the label there's some instructions, and we're going to follow those and install this baby. Shouldn't take too long, so come on, let's get it done. Okay, the first order of business is to get this tail light off here, and we're going to start over on the driver's side. So let's give that a shot and see what happens. And let's pull out our tail light. Okay guys, if you can look here, we've got two connectors, and one of the connectors goes to both lights. That's the one that we're going to be connecting to, okay? Alright, one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to take the wire that's going to be connected to the RV and pass that through and just let it go down onto the pavement. And we're also going to pass through this other harness here, which is going to hook up to the passenger side brake light. Okay, so we'll do that first. And right now there's a foam pad down there that's accessible from the bottom. You'll see it later when we get down there, but mine has already been cut for a reason, probably some sort of accessory. So I'm going to feed these through right now. Okay, so far that's pretty good. So we've got the prongs that are going to go in into the RV fed onto the ground. I've just got them over there laying in a pile. And now we're going to make our connection here, and then we're going to feed through to the other side, to the passenger side, the other wires necessary to make the connections. So here we go. Okay, as I mentioned, the connector that we want to use is the one that has wires going to both lights. You'll see that it's pretty obvious, and not this one here. So if we push these two tabs together, this assembly, this plug should come right out. Just like that. Okay, so now we're going to take our short ones that go to this side. All right, and we're going to plug these in appropriately. Okay, so this end, pretty hard to mess this up, is going to go the one we just took off, like so, and then this one is going to go to the other end. That part of it is done. All right, now what I've got to do is I've got to feed this wire through the same hole that we fed the 4 wire with the plug. We're going to feed this down and just let it dangle onto the floor like the other one. This is the one that's going to go to the other side. Looks complicated, but it really isn't yet. All right, so let's feed this down there. Let's get rid of the... All right, guys, well, you know it's windy here, so I got to work with this stupid microphone around my neck. Just want to show you one thing I did on that wire. These wires here are very loose, and I don't really like that. Now, you could use a regular wire wrap that you can feed this in. I forget what the proper name for those is. Wire conduit, something like that. They're made out of plastic and they have a slit in one side and you can feed the wire in. But what works just as good is put a wire tie like every couple of feet. All right, and then get yourself a roll of black tape and just tape all this mess together so that it stays all together nice. All right, so I suggest doing that. You don't have to, but I'm going to do it. So yeah, and I'm not going to spend the money on a piece of wire conduit. Okay, so it's very chintzy stuff, but I don't really know where to get it here. Maybe Radio Shack, but I doubt it. All right, I'll see you in a little bit. Okay guys, as you can see here, I've wire tied these wires together just to get them out of the way. I've also, the one that I used wire ties before that's going to go to the passenger side, I've completely wrapped with electrical tape, and that should keep it protected against, you know, rubbing or anything like that. And plus it's just not much neater and a lot cheaper than the conduit. And I still don't remember what you call this stuff, but it is available. And that's the professional way to do it, but this works just as well. So let me finish cutting these wire ties and wire tying this assembly to the harness here, and we'll be good to go. I'm also going to run these to the other side. So the first thing I have to do is get them down into the through that foam block, and we'll just let them dangle on the ground for now. Okay, that went pretty well, and I've got the wire all the way down to the ground, and everything looks good here. It's routed properly. So what I'm going to do is just put a wire tie around this mess here and then reinstall the tail light where it belongs. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to snip those wires. I'll be right back. Did I say wires? I didn't mean wires. What I meant was zip ties. Okay, so all I need now is a screw gun. Set this right back in there, screw it in, and that'll be that. Okay. Never fails, I always got to drop one. Make sure you don't over tighten these, otherwise you'll crack the lens. So I have that set on a real low setting. We're done with the passenger side. Now I've got to get under the vehicle and route those wires to the I'm sorry, did I say passenger side? We're done with the driver's side. Now we got to get under the vehicle and route those wires over to the passenger side. Okay, so let's go. Okay guys, as you can see, as usual, I'm underneath something. Here's the two wires that we brought out, okay, and this is the black one. It's going to go to the other side that I wrapped in tape, and then this one's going to go up front. Now they've got something coming down here and they've routed it right here, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow that path right over to the other side. Okay, that wire is actually going to the tow hitch for the Jeep, but we're going to go the other way. So we're going to wrap it up around here somewhere. It's way out of the way, and that'll be fine. So let's get to it. Okay, I didn't cut the wire ties yet because I wanted to show you how I routed it. Is along that other factory wire as best I could, okay? And I've got that going right to the back here. So we've gotten to this point here, and now we're just going to go right across on that frame member, and we should be out of the way of any moving parts. So let's get going. I'm always on the ground. I don't get it. Why? In my next life, I'm going to have a big lift. A big one. Yeah, maybe even big enough for the rig. Nah, I doubt it. All right, see you in a bit. All right, guys. Here I am, still under here. And I've got that wire routed from the driver's side brake light over to the passenger side. And I'll try and show you where I went with it. I went along the frame rail here. Okay. You can see it right on top. And I used 2 wire ties hooked together to hook those in. And then I came over here, and where the motor muffler mount is, right up here, all right, where there's not going to be anything moving on that wire, I wire tied it there. And now my goal is to get up here into this hole, and in that hole is where the passenger side tail light is. And here's my wire already here, and I don't have a lot left over, so that's great. Now there's a foam pad in here that you just push out of the way, okay, and that will allow you to pull it right out, all right, or you can actually pull it out from the top, but that's what it looks like right there, all right. And we're going to reinstall that from the top, and that keeps all the crap from going up in there. All right, as you can see, it's a clean shot right up into the directional, or the tail light, whatever you want to call it. So let's get that done. That's the last part of the job. Okay, guys, we're done with the driver's side's brake light. So let's get over on the passenger side, and we'll start by removing the tail light and then making our connections inside. Should go very quickly on this side. Alrighty, that was pretty easy, and there's only one plug on this side, so it's going to be kind of a simple thing to just unplug this. And you do that by pushing on the tab. We'll set that aside. And now I just got to reach in and pull up those wires. And here they are. Okay. That was pretty easy. And then we're going to take the plugs that we just undid. We're going to hook that into there. I'm sorry, the other way around. We're going to hook this one into here. And then this goes into our other plug. And that's done. And I don't even have a lot of wire left because we did that install pretty well. So what I'm going to do is just pick up whatever slack is there, and I am going to wire tie this to the original harness. All right. Okay, I just took some of the slack out of that, and now I'll make my tie go up here. Okay, that makes for a pretty painless, nice, neat install. All right, and then what we've got to do is we have to put our piece of foam back in there. Okay, remember that? And this goes like that. It goes in there like that. And we're lucky because we already have a notch here for our wire. So that worked out perfectly. Fit like a glove. And then we're gonna put our tail light back on. And we should be out of the way of the hinge. Yeah, there's a plate there, so we got no danger about that. And we're just gonna slide that in so that the tabs connect over there, and then we're going to screw that back in. Again, being careful not to over tighten. And that's that. Okay, so that part of the installation is done. We've got the tail lights all hooked up. Now what we have to do is run the wire that comes from the RV and plugs in to the Jeep. So we have to run that all the way up to the front. And we'll see how that goes. Okay guys, we got the wiring harness put on Pepper there, no problem. And everything's hooked up. And I routed the wires underneath. I would have liked to show you some video of that, but you know, it's just so crowded under there. I didn't have the Jeep up on a stand or anything like that, or lifted at all off the ground. So it was very difficult to get a camera under there. But what I did is I routed all the wires along the brake line because that doesn't move and it's pretty much out of the way on the frame rail. A little close up front towards the front of the vehicle where we had the exhaust to contend with, but I'm still far enough away that I'm happy. So let me show you what the wiring looks like up front. Okay, here we go. Now of course the wind is gonna play havoc with me, always does, but right down here is where I came up from the bottom with the wire. You can see it here, and I wire tied it to some of the brake line stuff, and then from there we came over to here. All right, and then we started to head up front towards the radiator. You can see it here, and then right here I started wrapping it with black electrical tape so that it wouldn't show too much in the front of the grill. You can see it here, it's wrapped and routed. And then I took the excess wire and put it down there in the bottom, okay, just in case I get a brake buddy or something like that. I want to be able to splice into it. And the plug itself is right there, and what I did is I separated it from the Jeep mounting with a couple of nuts just to keep it separated by about 1/8 inch, which is working real well. So all in all, it was a pretty simple installation. The hardest part, I would say, is routing the wires, especially when you got to go under the Jeep and you don't have a lift or anything like that. If this was done in a garage where you had access to a vehicle lift, it would have been a piece of cake. So very simple install, very much well worth it, I think, because you don't have to deal with any magnetic lights or anything like that. And it's going to work great. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll put the links below for the product, okay? Take care, guys. Bye-bye.